So, what if I told you there's a single, hidden principle that connects pretty much everything? I'm talking about what holds an atom together, what makes a community feel like home, even what allows a whole nation to thrive. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that very principle: structure. Okay, let's just dive right in.
Everything really kicks off with a feeling. The author of our source material talks about this deep sense of pride he felt for a singer he'd never even met. Why? Well, simply because they both came from the kibbutz movement. It was this powerful connection, this sense of a shared story that it didn't care about physical distance. It felt totally real.
But that makes you wonder, right? If this feeling of belonging is so strong, where is it? I mean, you can't point to it. You definitely can't hold it in your hands. So what in the world is this invisible force that binds people together like that?
Well, it's not about the buildings or the roads. It's the stuff you can't see, the shared values, that mutual trust, the common stories and history that everyone knows. It's an invisible framework of meaning. And the best word for it? It's a structure. And that's what lets a community act like a single thing, even when its people are scattered all over the place.
And you gotta be clear about this. Just because it's invisible doesn't mean it's not real. Oh no, this social structure is as real and as powerful as gravity. You can't see gravity either, right? But you can sure feel its effects. It's the exact same idea here. The effects of a strong social structure, like cooperation and a shared identity, they are absolutely undeniable.
To really get our heads around this, let's pivot a little, from the social to the physical. So do me a favor right now. Just look at your hand. Go ahead, make a fist. It feels solid, doesn't it? Firm, real.
Okay, well, that feeling of solidity, as real as it seems, it's an illusion. A really, really convincing one for sure, but an illusion all the same.
And that's because the atoms that make up your hand, and, well, everything, are 99.999% empty space. It's wild. The source material points out that if you could just suck all that empty space out of every human being on the planet, our entire species would fit inside a single sugar cube.
So here's the mind-blowing takeaway. The astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson put it perfectly. You're basically a ghost made real by structure. It's not the stuff you're made of that gives you substance. It's the powerful, invisible structure that's holding all that stuff in place.
Now, this idea that structure literally creates reality isn't just some cool little fact about atoms. It's actually a repeating pattern, a universal pattern you can see at every single level of existence. So let's take a look at how that works. And here you can see it, laid out plain as day. At the scale of physics, you structure atoms, and boom, you get matter. You scale up to biology, you structure cells, and you get life. Then you scale up to society, you structure people, and what do you get? Civilization. Every single time, organizing the basic parts creates something totally new, something way, way bigger than just the sum of its parts.
And this repeating pattern, it is no coincidence. In fact, it's so fundamental that people have actually given it a name. They've described it as a universal law.
They call it the universal law of increasing complexity, or ULIC for short. And here's the gist. When you take a bunch of different things, put them into a structure that can handle some tension and direct energy, new abilities just emerge out of nowhere. You could say structure is the secret sauce that turns chaos into capability.
So how does that actually work? Well, a strong structure doesn't get rid of conflict or differences. Not at all. Instead, it holds on to those tensions. It directs all the energy they create, and it aligns those very differences toward a common goal. And that alignment is exactly what creates brand new functions that weren't there before.
Okay, so why should we care about any of this in the real world? Well, because getting a handle on this law is pretty much the key to understanding the difference between systems that work and systems that just don't. First things first, we have to get this one distinction straight. Design is the plan. It's what we hope will happen. But structure? Structure is the real pattern of relationships underneath it all. It determines what can happen. You could have the world's greatest business plan, but if the underlying structure, the trust, the communication is broken, it's going to fail. Every time. Structure always wins. Just think about it like this. A team with very few resources, but a really strong, coherent structure will almost always beat a team that's loaded with resources, but has a weak, fractured structure. It's the organization that creates capability, not just having a lot of stuff. And here is the bottom line for all of us. When you talk about human societies, this emergent capability, the thing that comes out of a well-structured system, is what we call prosperity.
It's not a country's size or its natural resources that ultimately determine its success. It's the quality of its invisible structures, its laws, its institutions, its sense of shared purpose.
Okay, so let's bring this whole thing full circle, right back to where we started, that personal feeling of connection, and what it all says about what makes us, well, us.
You know that feeling of pride you have for your hometown or your family traditions? It isn't just a fuzzy memory. Those connections are actual functioning structures. They are the framework holding your identity together, supporting who you are, and giving you a place in the world.
Which brings us right back to the biggest question of all. After seeing how this one single principle scales all the way from the tiniest atom to the biggest society, what is it that really makes us and everything else real?
The answer, when you think about it, is beautifully simple. Our reality isn't defined by the substance we're made of. It's defined by our structure. It's not about the particles we contain, but about the invisible, powerful, and absolutely essential ways in which we are all held together.